Hello, friends. This is Patty Bennett. We are going to have some fun today on my weekly live crafting video. Thanks for joining me. I'm excited to see you here. We are live every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're watching live today, welcome. It's November 5th. And if you're watching a replay, perfectly fine. So happy to have you here. I appreciate you. Hi, Denise, Simone, Jennifer, and it says, and 5 others. Hi, Patricia. Welcome, everyone. Today we are going to be making these fun cards with some new products, and we are using the triangle dies. So I am going to be sharing a fun, just quick technique with you. This is a very fast card to make. We're going to be using the right triangle right here. So I will be talking about that. And I also just want to share my triangle story with you. Hi, Doris. Hi, Sue and Linda. Hi, Judy, Karen, Gail, Kay. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I am so glad you're here. If you are a first-time viewer, please let me know. Good morning, Judy and Jennifer. Yes, so Jennifer just said, I have these dies and I haven't used them. So I am going to start out by telling you my story about the triangle dies, and it ties right in with what Jennifer just said. But we are at the top of the hour, so I just want to say again, hello and welcome. This is Patty Bennett. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator. I have been a demonstrator for over 26 years, and I have a blog. I blog there every day, pattystamps.com. I believe I have been blogging there for about 13 or 15 years. I have to look it up and see when I actually started. But my background before I was a Stampin' Up demonstrator was in architecture and engineering. So all my life, when I was a youngster, I wanted to be an architect. My dad was an architect. I wanted to be an architect. I just thought there would be nothing better in life than to be an architect. I got to college, went to School of Architecture, and I decided I was not creative. Yeah, so that was 1978, and I went through 2.5 years, and I decided I'm just not creative. I don't want to think up the building from start to finish, but what I learned that I loved was the structural engineering field, because in structural engineering, there is one answer. You can be right or you can be wrong and your building falls down. So anyway, I went into the structural engineering field. And as a drafter in that field, triangles and straight edges and pencils, mechanical pencils, that was a huge part of my life. I still have all of my drafting equipment in a box, and I use all my triangles almost daily. So I just wanted to share with you why triangles were part of my background, and that is why I purchased the triangle dies, and I thought I would use them like every day, all the time, on every project, and I really hadn't used them much yet. So tying in with Jennifer's comment earlier about she bought these and she hadn't used them, I'm going to show you a fun idea to use this right triangle. And then I am going to be using the smaller ones soon. I'm going to create cards that are reminiscent of a quilt. And I thought if I die cut several of the small ones and pieced it together, it would be like a quilt. So that's my next project with the triangles. But anyway, I wanted to just give you a tip. I have shared this many, many times before, but this might be really hard to see, but do you see that little beveled edge on this triangle? Okay, so I'm just talking about this little, I don't even think it'll focus that close. There is a small beveled edge. So what's important about that is that when you have something like a Stampin' Write marker and you want to draw a line or make dashes or dots, if you have this little beveled edge, the ink will not suck underneath and smear. So you can look on In the US, at least, we have Data Print, D-A-T-A print, or Data Print, however you want to say it. They have drafting supplies, and you can get a beveled edge triangle there. I think you can also get these from Staples. I'm sure now with Amazon, you can get that as well. But a beveled edge triangle, or let me see. Yeah, in my drawer here, I also have this ruler, but on the back there is cork. I guess we don't need that little bonus. There's cork. So see how that allows you to have that raised beveled edge as well. You could use something like that where this is not directly onto your paper. It has that little raised edge. So either way, anyway, that's just a tip for you. And then the other thing that I find super duper handy, this is called an adjustable triangle. Two things that I love about this. So let me move all these so that you can see this. So number one great thing about an adjustable triangle, it has this knob, you loosen it, and you can open this up, and you can make this be any angle, and right here are the degrees. So if you want a 30-degree angle, you put it on the 30, you tighten it back up, and now you have a 30 instead of a 45. So that's the first thing that's super handy. Actually, there's three things. Second thing is I love the knob because I love to be able to just pick it up like this. The third thing is I use this when I am doing cutting on, I have a Carl cutter for heavy duty, lots of layers cutting. And so I will put it down and I will butt up my cardstock to it, and it keeps it perpendicular, but I love holding that. So this is called an adjustable triangle, and that is another helpful thing that you might want in your crafting arsenal. So there you go. That's my triangle story. I have a box of triangles. I love triangles. I love grid paper. And today we are using this triangle. So let me grab it out of here and I'll show you what I did with it. All right. So for these cards, these are called slash cards. And, oh, hang on. I really should have looked back at the comments to see if you had questions about that. Oh, Denise took architectural drafting in college. Awesome. Yeah, when I did that back in the 70s, I had to actually get permission from the professor because girls did not do that in the 70s. Yeah, so I had to get permission. Oh, Tammy, that's cute. She says, I do not have triangles yet. What's wrong with me? It's going on my next order. Well, I hope you'll enjoy this idea, Tammy. So anyway, the slash cards, this was a couple of posts that I had done a couple of years ago. They were amongst the most popular cards that year and most popular videos I did when I did slash cards. And basically what it means is that you had a triangle of designer paper, you cut a diagonal, you pulled it apart, so you had this slash, this area right here, to put your greeting. Well, I thought this would be fun to try with a triangle. So let me show you what I did. I cut my designer paper into a 4x4 so it fits a triangle this way, and then you flip it around and you can get a second triangle. So then your cut piece would look like that. Okay, like this. So you'd have two, you'd have very little waste. So that was how I cut these. And then I'll show you how I assembled this. Let's see. A set square. I'm just reading this comment from Lucy. She said in the UK, what we call a triangle, as in the tool, we call a set square. That is interesting that it's a triangle shape and you call it a square. I had never heard that. So interesting. I love to hear things like that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Yeah, so anyway, thanks. That was just so cool to read that. So back to the cards. What I'm using here is the Ever Eden designer paper. And this is something that Stampin' Up! Just released this month in November. So if you're watching live, November 2nd. And I'll show you the beautiful patterns So here's one side. Look at that gold. Oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous? The gold foil. It's beautiful. So beautiful patterns. And then the other side has a little bit more subtle and plain and not foiled. Okay, so that's the paper I'm using from this Eden's Garden to make these. So it is available now while supplies last. I should say that because they are not going to put this in the next catalog and they are not going to resupply. So you need to definitely get this quickly if you want this paper. All right, so let's look at very basic, very first card. Here's your 2 triangles, and it's on a matted layer. I'll show you that in just a second. And then the greeting is on the diagonal. So very simple. Then I decided let's step it up just a little bit and let's add some of those beautiful gold foil leaves with some gems. They're holly leaves to make it be Christmassy. And then I decided, oh, I really want to step it up, and let's add some really pretty die cut pieces of greenery. I stamped a couple. I die cut some with the gold foil. So that's another version. And you'll notice I did Christmas, even though it's not sort of typical Christmassy. This doesn't have to be Christmas, but you know, I'm in like Christmas mode. So there we go. And then these 2, check this out. And I don't want to blind you, but I'm just going to show you really quickly. It's on the gold foil paper. So the gold foil is white inside, lends itself to being a card. And it is a little pricey to make a card out of it, I will admit. But you know, you always have those couple of very special people, don't you? That you would just love to send something really special to. So for these 2, they have a gold foil card base. I did keep this one a little bit simple. And this one I thought would just be a beautiful card either for New Year's or, look, wishing you love, joy, and happiness this coming year. Wouldn't that be a great anniversary card? Yeah. So I wanted to keep it kind of neutral that way. And then this piece was actually from the ephemera pack, the Blackberry Beauty ephemera pack. And so were these little pieces of gold leaves or greeneries or foliage or whatever you want to call it. So those were the ones that I had made. And let me just show you how super quickly this goes together after you have die cut your triangles. So what I have is just a few different card bases and choices of triangles. And I have, this is called the Stitched Greenery Die. And I really go back and forth between calling this an embossing or a die, because it actually is a die, but it's just got all these little stitched leaves and it doesn't actually like cut out anything. The back is really subtle. You could use that side, but I like the front. So that is my layer on top of, this is Evening Evergreen, top fold card. This is Soft Succulent. So let me go ahead and, sorry for the reach, grab my glue and put this on. And then I'll just show you how quickly these triangles go together. You could do absolutely any kind of a layer. You could do just plain cardstock, whatever you'd like. It doesn't have to be this, but I thought it was really pretty. And then my favorite was either this with the white because of that contrast, or the darker one because of the contrast. I thought I was really going to love this one, but it kind of just blends. See how it just sort of fades away? It's beautiful, but it doesn't make as much of a statement. Let's see, what would this, I mean, you could do that, but I really, really, really love that other side. So we'll just do it with this paper. And I do recommend that you do the liquid glue so that you can kind of get to the points. That's a little bit difficult with a tape runner like the Seal or the Seal Plus. It's a little bit more difficult to get to the points. All right. Yes, Kimber, I agree. The stitched greenery die is just gorgeous. It is so, so, so pretty. And that's the soft succulent cardstock that this is die cut with. And I do believe that my die cut fairy, Tammy Savello, who is on here, I do believe she did all that die cutting for me. Thank you, Tammy. So there's that. And then, okay, so here's a funny story for you. So this is the shape that I used. It is from the Seasonal Labels dies. And I die cut a whole bunch of them, or maybe my die cut fairy might have done these for me. And then I just started pulling out a whole bunch of different stamp sets that had long, skinny greetings. And I just stamped a ton of them so that I would have choices in making this card. And then it would just go in that space like this. Of course, I used the foam adhesive strips or not adhesive strips, the foam sheets that I cut up into pieces to raise it up. But let me show you something that's so funny. So, you know, when you just get laser focused about something, you get something on your mind like this, and I just started stamping them all. And then I realized in the Eden dies that you can purchase as part of this pre-order bundle, look at that fabulous label. Wouldn't that have been, if you die cut that, wouldn't that have just been beyond perfect? Now, it doesn't have quite as big of a space. You can see, not quite as large of a space for stamping, but I was like, oh my word, why didn't I even think of using that? Because, you know, I just get, like I said, like laser focused on things. But let me show you a sample. This was on my blog several days ago, and it is an example of what that beautiful die looks like. And it's paired with the other dies and the stamps from that bundle. So that was on my blog a couple of days ago if you're interested in details on this. But anyway, that would be an awesome alternative for the slash area of your card. I don't know. Is that funny? Like, do you ever get like that, just super laser focused, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I could have used such and such, right? So here's my greeting that's going to go on there. Wishing your family health and happiness throughout the coming year. And I think that is beautiful. So yes, they do look familiar, Tammy, right? Oh, and I should show you. This is the seasonal label die, and it's this large, skinny one here that was used for all of these. You might recognize this set. So these dies are also in the seasonal label dies. It's a very interesting set to have all of these great labels and then all of those shapes. I've used this a lot in my projects on my blog recently just because it is so versatile and so pretty. And that's what I used for these die cut pieces. I want to give you a tip. When you are die cutting with the gold foil, if your plates in your die cutting machine have any of the little scratches on them or cut marks, you know, that, I mean, it's inevitable, right? You get those in your dies like immediately. Place just a little piece of scratch paper on top of the gold foil before you put your top cutting plate on, and it will ensure that you just have a nice smooth finish without all those little scratchy marks getting indented into the foil. So there's just a tip for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Lenny likes the gold with the white strip. Thank you. Carolyn wants to borrow my die cutting fairy. Well, yeah, Tammy's on here. Tammy, if you have extra time, I'm sure you could hire her out as a die cutting fairy. So on these cards, like I said, I had used a few of these little pieces from the, what's it called? Blackberry Bliss ephemera pack. I had also used gold holly leaves. And then I had stamped and die cut pieces from that seasonal labels, Christmas label dies. And this one does not have a whole lot of the gold. There's little dots in here, but it's not overly gold. And so I think maybe on this one, just to be kind of subtle, I would see what I do is I just rip off like that so I can tuck it. So I might just use like a couple of pieces of softer, yeah, I think that would be pretty. Maybe at the top. Maybe up there. Maybe underneath. I think we could peel this up gently. And maybe just kind of tuck it up there. I like that. Let's just do that. And then, I don't know if you saw in previous videos, I've done this where I take a mini glue dot, take the top off, or, you know, the release paper, and then you can just tuck them underneath your leaves, and it gives a nice little lift there, and it's such a pretty look. So there we go. Just really simple on this one, and then, oh, I don't know, then it's not even. What would we, should we do a dark one under there? Maybe. Oh, good. Anne likes that tip about covering the gold paper. Thank you. Yeah, I'm always love to share my tips. I'm glad that that's helpful. So I don't know, I kind of like maybe a dark one down under here. I think that would be pretty, kind of a nice balance. So I'm just going to lift this up and tuck it under. I could have thought about this ahead of time, right? Yep, I like that. And then we'll just put a couple of those underneath. These are the mini glue dots. If you have room for a regular glue dot, that would work as, dimensional. If you have room for a regular size dimensional, of course, that works as well. And I just use one of the old pokey tools that I don't mind getting kind of gummy and sticky. Then it won't impact my good take your pick tool. So there we go. That is just an idea there with your triangles. And it's the largest right triangle in the stitched triangle dies. And you can do anything from super simple to stepped up to fancy gold to adding die cut pieces. You could really do whatever you'd like with that. And I did put this one on my blog as well a few days ago. And this is a gift card holder. And I got the basic idea from Mary Fish. She did a similar one, not quite exactly. I did different measurements and I used this Ever Eden paper. And look behind there. Do you see I used that stitched greenery die on top of a scalloped triangle? And then it holds a gift card. So this shows really how versatile this Ever Eden suite is. And you could do anything from birthday to anniversary to wedding to Christmas to anything, right? Very, very versatile. So that's what I had for you today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Oh, needs a splash of gold. I could add gold. I definitely could. Which one were we doing? This one down here? Yeah, I could totally add a splash of gold to that. Most definitely. Actually, I was thinking too what would be pretty. These are the gems that are part of this Eden. Let's see, Ever Eden? Yeah, Ever Eden. So you have small and large circles, and then you have these beautiful, what is that, a marquee? If that was like a diamond ring, would that be called a marquee? I think that's what that cut is called. Anyway, you have all of these, and I was thinking maybe that would be pretty on here. Let's see, I did add these. Oh, that was a different project I was making, but I do have them on here. Yeah, it was a different project, but I did add them here. You can see how pretty they are on there. But I was thinking that those could be added to this as well. Let's see. Oh, yes, it is gorgeous paper, isn't it? Let me show you again. It's so pretty. And remember, this is only while supplies last. This is only while supplies last. So if you're interested in either of those, it's something that you're going to want to purchase soon because they won't be in the new catalog. Oh, Lenny, no, I haven't tried that embossing die on the cotton paper. That would be interesting. Thank you, Diana. So glad that you enjoyed it. Thank you. So I'll just show you real quickly. The stamp set and the dies will be in the January to June 2022 catalog. So those you'll be able to get. The other products are only while supplies last. So you might want to get these definitely now. This could wait if you want, or you can get the whole thing. There's a sweet collection code to get it all. And then if you're like me, you ordered some extra gems and some extra paper because it's so beautiful. Thank you, Cheryl. Thanks, Tracy. So, excuse me, like I just choked myself. Any questions on the triangle dies or the slash card idea or the paper, the Ever Eden, anything like that? Thank you, Patricia. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad you like the triangle dies, Anne. Thanks. Thank you, Susan. Thanks, Leslie. So sweet of you. Thanks, Tammy. You know what? I realized today that the next 3 Fridays, I don't think I will be able to do a live. We have a 3-day Stampin' Up event, and then I have a Friday off with my family, and then we have Thanksgiving weekend. So I'm not sure that I will be on here for the next 3 Fridays. And so watch my business page and check for updates. I may do a live on just a random day in the next 3 weeks. So check for that. I just am not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet. Have not made that plan. So I hope that you all have a fabulous weekend. We have a team event for my Love to Stamp group this Sunday. All day we'll be stamping Christmas projects. So I am really excited about that. And then tomorrow I'm working on something fun that you will see on my blog next week. I am not going to tell you what, but it's a big project. I'll tell you that. Oh, Joanne says, so if you don't use the triangle dies, what size would you cut your triangles? So on this is the idea of how I did it with 4x4 squares. So you saw me using the 4x4 square earlier, and that's what I cut the 2 triangles out of. So you could just start with a 4x4 square and cut corner to corner, and your triangles would be a little bit bigger. Or you could cut it down just a little bit. Let's see what this one measures, 3.5. So if you wanted to have this border like this, then you would do 3.5-inch squares. It's really up to you, totally up to you. Lots of possibilities, but that is a great question. Thanks, Christine. You are so sweet. All right. You're welcome, Simone. You're welcome, everyone. I will hopefully see you on a random day next week. but not on Friday because I will be busy all day with our Stampin' Up! On Stage event for demonstrators. And I will see you online, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for joining me. You are all so kind, and happy stamping.